The range and quality of Shockwave and Flash games of the early 2000s was vast, but in the earlier days, when they were simpler, it was due to the limitations of the average computer and internet connection at the time. So, it would be common that many of these games would be clones of older video games from the 80s or board games. This isn't unique, as PC games sort of did the same thing, whether it was chess and solitaire included on your computer, or CD-ROM games like LEGO Chess. Even if it was a reskinned version of a classic game, as long as it was fun and either free or cheap, it would still be played. For this episode of Flash Fossils, I want to discuss a few notable Flash games that are effectively different variations of the same game: Boulder Dash. For a brief backstory, in 1984, Canadian developers Peter Liepa and Chris Gray created an Atari 8-bit game known as Boulder Dash. In Boulder Dash, you're in a random layout with diamonds, dirt, and boulders. You dig through the dirt trying to collect diamonds, and once you collect all of the diamonds, you can exit the level and advance to the next one. However, if you walk under a boulder and don't move out from under it, the boulder will fall and crush you. This means you have to sometimes be strategic and take weird paths to avoid this problem. As the levels get harder, there are also enemies that will cause you to lose a life if they run into you. Various versions of the original and sequel games would be released in arcades and on older computer consoles like the Commodore 64. With the simple graphics and format, a rip-off version for browser games would be inevitable. In 1998, XNet Games released basically a tiny Boulder Dash clone called Monkey Maze. There's really no maze component about the game. It's just Boulder Dash, except the player you control is a monkey. You're still collecting diamonds and avoiding rocks. I guess the one difference is I don't need a console to play it, but I really don't know what else to add here. The game is naturally very tiny. There's no music, but there are basic sound effects that you'd expect for an arcade-ish game like this. Overall, it's about as bare bones of a clone as it gets. Strangely, later that same year, the same website released Monkey Maze 2, a sequel game that just appears to be a new set of levels with a slight color palette change. Overall, these two Boulder Dash clones would not nearly be as popular as a set of clones that would come out a couple of years later. In the year 2002, the developer USLab created Acnos Energizer, a Boulder Dash clone that would be featured on Miniclip. Rather than a monkey, you're controlling some alien blob thing. USLabs was a Dutch company, and there are occasionally some weird spelling or grammar mistakes, but this weird spelling for high scores apparently is a common abbreviation for high scores in Europe, so that's interesting. One bizarre feature is that when you click the credits tab, instead of a text scroll, you get this weird swirly flow of text that is actually kind of difficult to read unless you're really paying attention to it. Compared to Monkey Maze, this Boulder Dash clone would actually have a few twists to the formula to make it stand out. This time, instead of collecting diamonds to unlock the exit door, on the level you have these Energizer orbs that you have to physically push to the exit portal, almost like you're giving the portal its batteries to power up or something. The Energizer orbs work like the boulders, meaning that it's possible to get them stuck somewhere and force you to fail the level and lose a life. The other twist is that this time you are timed, meaning for some levels you need to plan your sequence more efficiently and smoothly. The graphics of Acnos Energizer look much better than Monkey Maze or the original Boulder Dash. Compared to Monkey Maze, the sound effects are more fun as well. The victory music for completing levels, while just a very short loop, was also pretty fun. There were also codes you could write down for the level you're on if you wanted to try it again later, but perhaps the most fun aspect of this game was that it included a level designer. Make your own level, test it out, and you can get a code for your level that you can share with your friends for them to try. As far as Boulder Dash clones go, this took it to another level. Overall, people really enjoyed this game on Miniclip, which prompted USLab to make yet another Boulder Dash style game that same year. So later in 2002, USLab released Aqua Energizer. This time, instead of an alien blob, you're a scuba diver blob, going through another set of these Boulder Dash style puzzles. However, similar to how Monkey Maze 2 wasn't that different from Monkey Maze 1, Aqua Energizer wasn't different outside of the aesthetic change. Same energy orb concept, still timed, and even the same music for both the menu and level complete screen. If anything though, it was slightly less of a game. On the Miniclip website, you could only play a demo version, which had fewer levels. While Acnos Energizer had 35 levels, this demo only had 10. If you went to their website to buy the full version, you could get 100 levels. Since this is no longer a supported game, I wasn't able to find out how much the full version cost. What was further disappointing was that unlike Acno's Energizer, neither the demo nor the full game had a custom level creator. I remember discovering Aqua Energizer first, and by the time I figured out Acno Energizer existed, I assumed Acno Energizer was a sequel game because it had the extra bits like the level creator. But no, it's weirdly the other way around. Despite this, Aqua Energizer appears to have more nostalgic gameplay videos than Acno's Energizer. There's no statistical data to back this up, so maybe it's anecdotal. But if you could believe it, a third Boulder Dash clone would be made by Use Labs the next year. In 2003, Use Labs released a new game called Crypt Raider on Miniclip, and just like Aqua Energizer, was the same game but with a different skin. This time it's Egyptian Tomb Raider themed as you move around a character named Dr. Carter. Heh, like the dude that found King Tut's tomb, I get it. But overall, same format. But at least you have new sound effects and different music. Also, unlike Aqua Energizer, there was a full game you could play for free rather than a demo and with 100 levels. Admittedly, when growing up, I remember this game being interesting for a short while because I find Ancient Egypt more interesting than underwater scuba diving. But the fact it was still the same game as the other two Energizer games, as well as having fewer features than the original, made me quickly grow bored of these games altogether. Nevertheless, this version did have its fans, so much so that this wouldn't be the last time we'd see Dr. Carter as a character, but that'll be for a future Flash Fossils video. In any case, all of these Boulder Dash ripoff games are gone from their original websites thanks to Miniclip's recent 2023 update removing most of their games. You can find them all as well as the Monkey Maze games with the Flashpoint Archive or the Internet Archive. But what about games from Boulder Dash itself? Did they have any versions specifically in browser game format? There were a couple, but the only interesting one was an official pirate-themed one where you collect emeralds and move through spider webs instead of dirt or sand. Meanwhile, there are also games named Boulder Dash that had nothing to do with the original game, such as a Flintstones game titled Boulder Dash for their Cocoa Puff cereal, but you're just riding on a boulder. So I guess it's taking the title more literally. Then there's a Lego Transformers game called Bumblebee Boulder Dash, but you're just driving and avoiding colliding into boulders. I could go on and on about the dozens of additional clones that were just downloadable PC games outright rather than browser games, but hey, this is Flash Fossils, not PC Fossils. Plus, there are only so many ways I can point out a game is just Boulder Dash with a different skin. In any case, there is a website that lists most of those clones, as well as links to them if you're interested, although I expect some of the links nowadays will likely be broken. It's all a bunch of Boulder Dash. Thanks for watching the second episode of Flash Fossils. In case you missed it, the first episode was about the Heli Attack games, and I also went ahead and made a playlist for this series because there will be plenty more Flash Fossils to dig back up in future videos. See you all next time!